some point starting another channel that will be based on running businesses on media. I'm just saying. I was just talking to my beautiful soul sister, Deb. So go and have a look at Deb Does Tarot. She's a wonderful channel. Love her. She's a soul sister. And definitely from an astrological point of view, whatever industry you're currently working in at the moment, it's really handy to know a little bit about astrology. And it's handy to understand what platform is each medium, especially when it comes to advertising, blogging, how to run those platforms and how to know the ins and outs, especially through the transits. YouTube is actually Aquarius. I still have not checked what Instagram is. But I do know Facebook as a platform is Scorpio. Most of the platforms really are having a bit of changes going on, especially YouTube as an astrological zodiac sign. And due to the fact that we have the South Node and the North Node in Sagittarius and Gemini, this is a very interesting kind of portal that we're all moving through, especially for those of us running spiritual channels. So it can hit a bit of a stagnant wall, and especially from a coaching point of view, spiritually, we can get to a point where, we A, need to look after ourselves, but we B, do need to actually understand, hi Leonix, the element of self-care, okay? It's self-care. There's a lot to learn really in the industry, but you do learn as you go. But definitely from an astrological point of view, this is a little bit of a portal. So each person individually, when it relates to your career, what you'll find is Jupiter, the planet of expansion, it's in the South Node at the moment, and currently it's in the house of Pisces. So at the moment, you can be feeling very fatigued. You can be feeling very scattered and almost, where do I go from here? What makes sense? We really need to be very careful with substance, and that can be due to the fact Neptune and Pisces can cause a little bit of distortion. And you may find that even the slightest amount of substance can actually get you quite intoxicated due to the fact that Neptune's in Pisces. I would say that some of us spiritually probably need a bit of a psychological break, and it is a lot of psychology coming up. So even though we're moving to the eclipse in Gemini, still you will find more of the residue energy. It's more kind of on the parallel of Sagittarius. So it's our values, it's religion, it can be things to do with medicine, travel, trade, but it's very spiritual. So psychologically we're thinking about that, plus because we have Jupiter and Pisces getting ready to go retrograde, this is almost a spiritual test, because A, we have changed, and B, we have got to a point that we're getting ready for another transit for another 6 months. So who we're going to be is very unique. How would I say it? It's going to be very different. So we're having to think outside the box. Now, the tough part is we are going to have Uranus and Taurus squaring Saturn. So yes, from agriculture, personal values. A lot of times from a manifestation point of view, we can hold on to funds very tightly, and that actually does block money. So, when we're going to fair-based frequency, hoarding, I always call it almost like building pyramids, so to speak. It actually doesn't help. You've got to be very tactical. You've got to be very rational, pragmatic and practical, but very creative with the way that you do things. I wouldn't say, my daughter came to me the other day and she was talking to me about a candle spell. And I was like, nah, not right now. Whatever you're looking at, leave it be. Because from a manifestation point of view, anything that you need will always come directly to you. It launched in October. Yeah, I've got to get the exact aspects and the dates of what occurred, and then I'll place it in and I'll have a look at the actual birth chart. It still will have a linking to Facebook because it's a Facebook entity. They're the same kind of connection. So they'll have they'll have a differing birth chart, but they're still hyperlinked to each other, so to speak. But advertising at the moment, what you'll find is this is a great time to get the foundation right. So all of you potentially that are using media, platforms, marketing, it can feel like you're not getting anywhere. So if you run a spiritual channel and you're feeling, how do I move things about? Now would be the time psychologically to build. So what do I mean by that? Now would be the time to look at your direct foundation, get grounded, have a little bit of an existential holiday, get to a point that you can do your pre-recordings, get to a point you can get your advertising blogs done. If you want coaching, you can come through and I can give you a hand. And find creative ways to start getting ahead. And then it's not necessarily in the financial element of things, but it's in the getting your ducks in a row point of view. I would say in 2022, a lot of themes relating to psychology are going to come up, and that's because we're going to have Jupiter and Pisces. So if you find at the moment you're feeling a little bit disembobulated, I don't even think that's a word. A lot of aspects are making hard aspects, but once Neptune goes retrograde, things are going to make more sense to us. If anything, it can feel like we're a bit like we're on a trip. It's like, where am I? Am I on Mars? Yeah, probably. But it's going to settle down. Now, I did do a channeling, and I started off the zodiac signs, and it was really funny because although there's a lot of air elements in astrology at the moment, for some reason, I put a community tab up. Libra was really looking pretty distorted. So I have shared it to a few friends, but I've redone the video. But the thing that we all collectively have to understand is things aren't moving. Not everything's going to stay the same. They are shifting about. Our value systems are shifting about. The way we communicate is shifting about. But we're having to find very creative ways to do such. And I actually do feel, at the moment, we have Venus in Cancer. So Mars is currently in Cancer. And from a male and a female point of view, and yes, I will move back to business. This does also relate to business. Especially for those of us working, say, in tarot, in astrology, and any of those domains, especially when it does come to applying that energy to being able to provide those services, we need to be mindful of the astrology. Now, with Mars in a person's personal birth chart, it's something that initially we seek outside ourselves. And Mars is currently in the house of Cancer. So from an emotional point of view, we will be seeking comfort outside ourselves. And that can be in people, places, and things, which can come through as codependent initially. Now, Venus is also in Cancer, so both masculines and feminines will be doing equal parts in such. It's not permanent. Cancer in Mars is in its detriment. It is shifting on the 11th, but as we move towards the 11th, it can get rough because we are going to have a square. I do believe the square is occurring with Uranus and Taurus on the 14th. So yes, psychologically and emotionally, we can be very angry. We can be projecting to other people. We can be having expectations, needs, and desires. And it is required to be self-mastering. This is a better time to sit with the self. This is a great time to be focusing on service, focusing on your business plans, focusing on what you can do to achieve your goals. You know, looking at your charts, getting grounded. Yes, during this time, we can have a lot of people coming back from the past, but we also have to be psychologically ready. I would say that if the communication is going to come in, it won't be probably until we have the eclipse in Gemini, but I still feel communications coming through nevertheless, especially from the coffee cup readings I've been doing. I have been getting a lot of messages, which I'll add to the readings tomorrow. Some of them were very interesting, to say the least. You know, we had and I'll mention them tomorrow. I'll leave them at that. But I am considering actually at some point starting a channel for those of you, whatever kind of platform of work you're working in, the reality of the future will be media. That's the truth. So you need to really get out of your comfort zone and realize that yes, we do need to upgrade, upskill, do short courses, learn, and think on our feet. Sometimes it's not necessarily that we're completely ready. And I must admit, when I landed on YouTube, no, I wasn't completely ready. And because it's no action plan, it was like, oh, you know, here I go. I was making a video for a client on Facebook, and the easiest way to do it was launching a YouTube channel, which I hadn't really thought too much about, to be quite honest, which I do love YouTube and I'm incredibly grateful. But it wasn't something I planned, I must say. So from hindsight 360, I can say I have learned a lot about advertising. I can say I have learned a lot about how to market, and it's not from a manipulation point of view, it's from a necessity point of view. If somebody doesn't know who you are, they're not going to find you. That's a reality. It's not everybody knows every single human being on the planet, so in order to be out there, you do need to advertise your services and give people a heads up what you have, what you do, and who you are. And YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram are much the same. And they're very different platforms. So, you know, with YouTube, the one thing you have to understand is whatever you are selling, you need to get that you are like a HTML. Okay, you are like something that is being hyperlinked in. Give you an example in my career field, you know, for the platform I work in. If I was only to ever do, which is what I've always said from day dot, and I have actually spoken to other YouTubers that I coach, if you only ever do tarot or psychic energies, your channel will flop. And that's because through the algorithm, you will not get found and you will get exhausted at some point. You need to actually have content that's based surrounding those energies. Okay, so it's a little bit like Leonix. Leonix has a a business that she's launching, and if she was only to base her advertising based on that one product and not how to do, how could I say such, Leonix? Am I able to talk about it, or should we keep it hush hush? Should we keep it hush hush? Or may I use the experience as an example, if she's still here? Yes, I'm in my bloody pajamas. Great advertising. Hey, I'm here to talk about business, peeps. In my pajamas. Streaming from Western Australia, babes. That's another thing. Don't expect to sleep if you're running a business. It's not going to happen. Okay, Leonix is launching she has started. She's done the course. She's done a foundation. She's working in another career. And that's always a really great way to start. I'll be perfectly honest. If you're leaving one career and moving to another, especially if you're a parent, most of us starting bloody businesses can be parents, the reality is you need to do a branch over. It's hard to, and taking a leap of faith is a little bit like jumping in the bush with divine masculine. I'm unsure where it's going to go. It's a joke, okay? We need it for psychology. So what I'm trying to say is when you are starting a business, when you're starting from the bottom, you've got to move it to the top. Now, the thing is, sometimes we can look at ourselves and go, crap, what have I done? When you have no way to go backwards, the only way is up, baby. It's true. And what do parents do? Parents are like, I need to find a creative solution. Women actually, because of that survival instinct, actually have a huge advantage, and you really do underestimate yourselves because you have raised children and because you have had to scrape the last scraping of butter out of that container and make that happen. You can find creative solutions. We do tend to underestimate ourselves, be it male or female, if you have been a parent or you have actually had adversity in your life. The direct experience you've had can be applied to everyday life. And it's anything down to time management, thinking outside the box, being thrifty with your cash. I can't name the list long enough. I really can't, but it will come in handy. You underestimate it. So initially, by starting that business, sometimes we can say, I've got to jump in the deep end. And yes, to a point, there is a point to do such, but you first have to get the base started. Okay, it's like, okay, I'm going to jump into the house without the windows in it. Probably not a smart move. I'm going to pour all my funds in with nothing left, and I'm going to hope for the best. Probably not the wisest move. Because number one, you may find something that you're far better at within that niche market and need to move things about. So very similar to some things that I went through that I learned better about. You know, there's certain products you can touch with and certain you can't. So with our industry, it's spray tanning and it's contouring, it's definition. So initially, that is one base product. Now that one base product, working on several platforms, yes, you can pay for advertising, but if you start an Instagram profile, and you get it color coordinated, and you need to first use this time where you're at is to go and research your competition. So you need to go onto YouTube and research your competition. You need to go on Instagram, search your competition. You need to go on Facebook. Don't spend money yet. Research. Then from there, see what resonates with you. Then from there, see what you don't like. Then you're recreating. And don't ever, ever think that what you have needs to be like theirs. Because the one thing I can say is 9 times out of 10, the largest of innovators will actually think something polar opposite, and people will think they're crazy. And if you do go look at people that are trying to motivate you, and you've tried to sell a product or you tried to patent the idea, a lot of them, especially on YouTube that talk about it, people thought they were crazy. So you may find a niche market that nobody else has, and you may go to, the one thing I can say is, and I'm still tweaking my channel, I'm still not perfectly happy, but I know what I have in mind. So I can say it would really irk me, and this is from my experience of doing my research, and you guys will probably all bloody agree with me. You jump on a channel and you don't know them from a bar of soap and they don't get to the bloody point. And I had to cop that. I had to go, okay, you need to get straight into the point. This needs to be punchy. People want that information. They need to get that information now. And I'm still quality assuring it. I'm not quite there. But it's a very similar effect to you actually researching a niche market. So you may go onto a channel that has spray tanning, contouring, and it may be all black and white. It could be all pink and purple, whatever it is. It's A, got to be what's most popular. B, it's got to be what people are actually looking for. And it needs to be workable. You will not be able to do your job and advertise 24 hours a day. You will need help. How do you do that? You can use the app called Later. Now, the app called Later, which at some point I may actually work with them and promote it, it does advertise to every platform. So you can actually do your blog posts, you can type them up, you can get your hashtags, you pay, you do have the free version, but if you want to automate posts for a year, you can pre-make them up, and you can then place them inside this app and date it, and it will automate it. So when there's Mother's Day, when there's Father's Day, when there's Christmas, when there's Easter, whenever you're wanting to put a sale up, you have that marked down in the calendar and you can plonk that post out, and it will automate that post, and you don't need to be there. Because the reality is, when you're starting a job, I can honestly tell you, you're it. And you need to A, save money. You B, need to be on the ball with advertising and cover every single platform. And you also need to be very conscious about your time and the money you spend. Number 2, never undersell yourself. Know your worth. One of the best pieces of advice that a fellow client gave to me, and a friend, and her name is Jen. And the thing is, in manifestation and business, look at the niche market of what it's worth and own your worth. If you're too cheap because you're unsure and you feel, how would I put it? Need to get a bit more training. It lacks confidence and it will ooze through your product. Own your worth. Gain the confidence. Every person starts from the bottom. Every person moves to the top. In the initial stages, it's perfectly normal. But if you remain there, you aren't allowing yourself to grow and you are not owning your worth. Own your worth. If you're selling yourself short, people will think the product is cheap. Flat out, point blank, zero. Yes, under circumstances of what's happening in the collective, we have compassion and understanding, and we can make variations. We can reduce prices where need be, but it's your time, it's your life, it's your service, and you need to be on the ball with that. What is the other thing I can say? So having advertising is important. Having a website is another thing. I highly, highly, highly recommend a website. And that is due to the fact your regular clientele, you can build up your clientele. You can keep up to date with them. They can actually say how they felt about that experience. They can write down how they felt. You can directly communicate with them. When you have a sale, you can place it up. You can keep them in the loop. You can sell courses from it. But don't just stick to one product. Initially, it will be that you do that product and you will see other things. Is there nutrition? Is there upkeeping products you could potentially make? Are there other things? Any questions, Leonix? Research your taxation. Research, what you can get to actually advertise, what you get in your country to do such. You'll be super surprised of what you can get, what you need to give, and don't over invest. And what I mean by that is you may have the best idea on the planet, but you need to look at the logistics. So logistically speaking, a little bit like registering, and again, I'm not an accountant. I'm speaking from personal experience only, nor am I a financial advisor. But from a point of view, when you're registering, trademarks and things like that, do your research. Do your research as to how you're going to do it. The Later app has really benefited me, and I'm multitasking. So from the experience of what I've gained, which I will be potentially actually making a channel for those of you that want to start tarot, those of you that want to start YouTube channels and things to that degree, especially in this niche market, because being a psychic medium, the one thing that I've found is there are no channels on YouTube to actually support us and show us how to do such. And I've been a psychic since I was 9, and I've had to develop that gift. So I'm having to backtrack to do some of the things that I've learnt to rebuild the channel. But unfortunately, I'm not enough people. So I'm gradually getting there, but it's legitimately going to take time. It does take time to do what I've learnt, to back paddle and then redo it. And yes, I could simply just start a brand new channel, but it's me maintaining what I have and then gradually implementing to see if those things that I have learnt can bring that back, which I've been, again, mentoring other channels to do such. But yes, there's anything down to, how to balance your energy, how to balance and, do your recordings. How far can you go in your recordings? Because you can pre-record content when you start from one point and move forward, which is what I used to do, and that can help keep you grounded. But there's a lot that goes into spiritual channels, which is why a lot of spiritual channels do leave, because they have to look after their energy. They need to do that moderation. Definitely, I would always suggest getting a website. And that's because it can schedule your routine. You can't be 20 people. You need to realize your limits. So be it you have a business and it's something to do with anything, any industry, having a website will be your godsend, because it will automate information to your clients. It will schedule things. It will give costs and prices. You can get the emails directly to it. It's your host. If you don't have that, you're missing out on your 2IC. Biggest business mistake. Be on the net. Be on the bloody net and have that website. And it did take me about 2 weeks to do it. I was staying up till about 10 o'clock at night. I did the website myself, which was a huge education. And I remember years ago going to school to actually learn how to do web design, graphic, coding. And I was like, huh? And there I was in the middle of the night coding my bloody website. And I did it. And good grief, if I can do it, you can do it. And again, if you do want help, you can book a reading and I can give you a hand. I am helping other people in different industries at the moment with their businesses. I cover the astrology and I go, hey, this is how it's going to pop off. This is when it's going to be busy. This is when you need to calm down. Get this ready. So don't think by any means that the things that we do here at YILDIZ Readings is only based on Twin Flame Path. Yes, Twin Flame Path is going to be a very strong energy on this channel. It's part of who we are, but it's part of our development. And so is our business. So is our well-being, health, ascension, career progression, because it's all part of your soul path. So part of your destiny, in a sense, is actually getting into alignment and doing becoming who you're meant to be. And that's very much the North Node. And that's always going to be something that comes through. And it is almost an element of the TF path. Having purpose, being in that purpose and having that growth. And wherever you're placed is divinely guided. With whatever is happening in your life, it is divinely guided. And these are lessons and blessings. All good, Leo Nix. We're ever so quiet. So yes, it could be oils, it could be organics, it could be, the advertising on the side of your car. But the thing is, I wouldn't say go and buy $100 worth of products. I wouldn't recommend that. Gauge what people want, gauge what they're asking for. Go and actually have a personal experience in a salon, and you get that done so you can have that experience and you can see it through a client's eyes. You've got to put yourself in your client's position to see what they're wanting, what they're needing. Even speaking to Deb tonight, I had to say we do need to look at the business we're doing. It is business. Yes, it's a spiritual advisory service, but it's also business. We need to sometimes step back, get grounded and go, okay, let's look at our analytics. What is popular? And the reality is we have to feed what is wanted. It's like, we're the meal. What does the client want? We have to directly address that. One thing I have decided is definitely I'm going to try and get to the point where I can do more earth, air, fire, water, twin flame signs. I'm going to be doing, I have already started the next set of psychic readings. The reason I didn't do the astrology last week was because in the last one, plus Mercury was going retrograde, I overscheduled myself. I had incorporated both the last month's energy and moving into the first 2 weeks of the astrology for this month. So I may come live around the time of the eclipse, and I have started actually placing posts on Facebook that are automated now, and they're going to give you mini readings, but I'll also be doing different content. So I'm more than likely going to be doing still the psychic energies, which I've already started, so they should be ready shortly. And it will get to a point when I can get that momentum and the forward motion. The one thing that we do have to understand is, this is my sole income. So my members actually keep me afloat financially because this is my only money, as well as it does help with me getting any new technology, my bookings as well. That keeps me afloat to keep me on YouTube. So I'm incredibly grateful. If it wasn't for the Members Hub, it has been hard years for YouTubers especially. So you've got to be quite creative with the way you do things. So once I do get that momentum, I will be actually putting more videos out. There's going to be a psychic update like I used to do at the beginning of the month, and it's going to be channeled messages. And yes, more than likely, if I have time, with that one, you'll get an extension. It's going to be the Earth, Air, Fire, Water, Twin Flames, the psychic romance read. So there is new content coming, and I have started the numerology for Twin Flames. I'm getting the profile ready. So that I can start releasing those, but it's a lot of videos. So between videos, having to have clients for finances, having to adhere to the membership area, these are things that we have to do. So it's gradual. It's a build up, but it's also multitasking. You're a dag. Non-invasive body contouring. It looks gorgeous. It really does. I'm telling you, Neptune and Pisces is making me thirsty. Thirsty. So, any business questions, anyone? Any business questions? I'll be live again tomorrow. I've got to jump into the Twin Flame room for their first video. We do the first beginning of the month and the end of the month. We do an update. The pre-release content will be in the second tier level, and the third level is all the Sun, Moon, Rising and Venus videos, which about 4 days. I'm working over the weekend, so it'll be Tuesday, about Tuesday, Wednesday. They should be ready. I'm crazy, Leonix. I must be insane. Yeah, it's Pisces. That's why I said be careful with alcohol at the moment, because you will feel more giddy straight away. You got to be really careful. Um, keep your fluids up, and especially because Saturn retrograde in Aquarius, it's very much the Uranian energy. So Uranus actually is crown chakra. So a lot of people will be really thirsty. You know, if you had a little bit of a, you'd be like, ah, wee. Yeah, just be really careful. Don't go too far now, y'all, you know. You won't be enjoying it. You'll be waking up parched. Is it a good time during the eclipse to charge crystals? On this occasion, yes. I know. You just find you'll get there a lot cheaper, Andrew. You will. I had a couple the other day, and, you know, my partner was like, you crack me up. He was like, a bit of Coyote Ugly come out. And he was like, what? I was a cabaret. I was the cheapest date in town, you know. He was like, babe, seriously. I was like, look, I don't know what come over me. I was like, yeah, I'll maybe doing that for a while. It wasn't even a lot. It was ridiculous. It was literally like LMAFO. Let's get ridiculous. It was like, wow, okay. Neptune and Pisces be getting us. That's the Libra in my chart, because I've got 6 houses. Like, nah, it's not working for me. Too busy working. Burning the candle at both ends. Yeah, bloated. It's paranoia, Leonix. Well, Saturn's also base chakra. Mind you, it's more so the Pluto element of things, because we've got Pluto retrograde. But yeah, we've had quincunx to Pluto at the moment, so we really do need, there's emotions that we're needing to let go of, especially from Chiron. Definitely emotions we need to let go of. Some of us can be really scared at the moment. Some of us can feel there's nothing, there's no point, you know, there's no point. It's like it is going to be a different vibration, but at the moment it sort of feels like, yeah. And I I have noticed that the moon will be transiting Taurus, so keep an eye on. I'll try and get to YouTube and give you guys a heads up. I believe it's from the 5th, 6th, 7th, and the 8th. Be careful of your eating habits. You'll want some cookies. Yes, very, very, very busy. Very, very busy. It depends. It's going to be 50-50. It depends on the zodiac sign. The busyness is coming from Gemini, but psychologically, it's like you're probably going crazy. It's a bit like the gods are going crazy. But yeah, there's pockets, because certain places in the world you'll probably have lockdown due to the fact that we've got Mercury retrograde in Gemini, and other places it will be opening up due to the fact that we've got Jupiter in Pisces. So it's a bit of a funky time at the minute. So it's 50-50 in the platform globally. So the way many people in the globe really have been working incredibly hard. It's probably the hardest we've ever worked in our life. I definitely can say that here in Western Australia, we've had maybe 2 lockdowns. So it has been literally insane. It has been so super busy. And not by any means am I ungrateful, but it has been psychotically busy. No time for a holiday. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And then other places in the world, it's been almost stagnancy, feeling very spiritually stagnant and suppressed. So, you know, each experience is a new experience, and I feel that when we move out of this, we all individually will be very, very different. I know through my ascension symptoms that I had, it was more 2017, 18, and a bit of 19. I was very homebound, so I went through a lot of what the collective went through, and that is part of a spiritual awakening. It is almost like we go into a hermit kind of zone, and I had nobody around me ever. I was always home. So yes, it did initially feel quite lonely, but it also really showed me And I was thinking about this before I came live, the element of relationships and connections and codependency. And the funny thing is, when you do actually look at psychology, it seems ever so logical and rational to a point. It almost takes all the romance out of connections. You just look at things so differently. I mean, I highly advise reading up on it, because when you do look at it, we actually, it's sad but true. The ego and emotion is very nurture orientated. And, if we had that nurturing when we were younger, it's filled. When we haven't, or there's been something quite off, or we've had abandonment, we seek outside ourselves. And when we can actually self-master that energy, we actually don't require anyone at all. We want people. We actually don't need people. So when it comes up and we get needy and we project, we actually can acknowledge that from a wound or an emotion, because again, it is seeking outside ourselves. I mean, the crazy thing I've actually learned over the years is any anger, angst, jealousy, rebellion, any energy, it was all things that I felt. The glass ceiling could not be broken. And now in my life, I actually look outside that box and I realize it's all self-limiting beliefs, and anything is humanly possible. I mean, yes, our bodies have a limit, and our bodies definitely can get very fatigued as we age, but within our control, if we are open-minded and don't let that cloud kind of project that fear that we know, right? It's like, I know this is not going to be possible. You're actually sabotaging yourself before you try. The number one thing is, we could win lotto. You could cop a break. You could get to a point someone could discover you. Anything's possible, but while we psychologically are thinking to ourselves, the glass is half full, you're pretty much only drinking half. Right? So you've got to get your mind right. It's not mind over matter. It's hear what the mind is saying and say, I'll be open-minded. I am aware of what my mind is telling me the potential is, but I don't know everything. I will be open-minded to a potential. That's all you're doing. And then try. Be it you want to get as fit as hell. Be it you want to be able to look somebody in the face and say, I forgive you. Be it you want to let a wound go so you can spiritually be free to live your best vibration life. Whatever it is, you can do it. It takes some time. Don't be mad at yourself. But each time it comes up in your mind's eye, challenge it and say, I'm going to do something different. I acknowledge it. Whatever's screaming at you in your mind, fear, take a breath and go, yep, I remember that memory. Thank you very much. And then try something different. Take a breather. Breathe in. Happy endorphins. Hold the breath. Becomes light. You're relaxed. Chillax. Any questions? I look like I bloody got a halo around my head. I don't. I ain't an angel. I can't say I'm a devil either, but you know what I mean. You know, get this, Hungry Jacks, you know, you can't see it, you know. Yes. No questions? Going once, going twice. Partner's got to wake up early tomorrow, so he's tired. He went off to bed. And I had all these psychic downloads. So, if you do want coaching advice based on your business, give me a hoy and I'll give you a hand. That light's funky. Where does this light come from already? I've got fairy lights. I don't know why it's the mirror. No questions? Nope. Good old Mercury retrograde. Is everyone crazy busy? Yes, we are. How are you doing, Andrew? It's a hard one at the moment because during Mercury retrograde, you gotta read the fine print. But look, by no means does it mean stop. By no means does it mean don't buy things, don't go out, don't move forward. You know, you can't stop your life. Mercury retrograde happens 3 times a year. If anything, you'll find cross wires, be mindful, communicate effectively, drive carefully, read your emails. It's practical, logical sense. It's not stop your life. No. Never has meant such. You know, prior to us knowing about astrology, we've been moving forward and doing things. Anywho, I'm going to love you and leave you, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Take care.